When we're going on a long journey, making sure we've got the right footwear on makes a big difference, much more than we would think sometimes. Until you become a pro runner, I don't think you understand the appreciation, or at least I haven't, of having a good pair of trainers, or if you're going on a long hike, having the right hiking boots, or if you're walking in the mud, having the right wellies, or if you go into being a smart office, wearing the smartest shoes you can get. Like, it matters what we've got on our feet more than often most of us would think. As followers of Jesus, it matters what we're wearing on our feet. And this is why we're going to come back to Ephesians chapter 6, where Paul talks about the armor of God. And he says that what we're to have on our feet as Jesus's people is, the phrase he uses is feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. Feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. What does that mean? I think it means two things. First of all, that we're to have a willingness, a readiness to share the gospel of peace with others, with our words. And then secondly, that we're also to be sharers of peace, bringers of peace with our lives and with our actions. When it talks about sharing peace, the kind of the image that Paul probably would have had at the back of his mind, you can find in Isaiah 52 verse 7, where Isaiah says, "How beautiful on the mountains are the feet of those who bring good news, who proclaim peace, who bring good tidings, who proclaim salvation, who say to Zion, your God reigns." And the image I have at the back of my mind is this messenger who was given, hey, we've just defeated our enemies. Take the message back to the city, take it back to Jerusalem and tell them we've won, that God reigns, that God's in charge, that we've been delivered, that there's peace. And just what a joy it would have been to be that messenger, to be like, here I come. I'm going to leg it back to my family, back to my street, back to my neighborhood, back to the whole city. I get to be the person that tells them we're free, we've got peace. That image, that readiness, that willingness to be like, I will take that message to people, is what Paul's talking about when he talks about our state as Jesus's people, that we're to be on the move, telling others, sharing others the news of peace. And of course, the news of peace is that we have, because of what Jesus did through his death and resurrection, total peace with God. And it's a peace that means we become adopted as his kids, that we enter into this intimacy of relationship with him, that we get to go into eternity with him, and that we'll be together forever. That's the peace that we get to share. Lots of us don't feel very equipped, and I know I feel pretty guilty when it comes to thinking about how terrible I feel like I am at sharing who Jesus is with people. I've found the best way to do it is to just keep it really simple. If we get an opportunity to share, it's helpful sometimes to start with our stories and to say, this is what my life used to be like. Then I found out this about Jesus and who he is, and now this is what my life is like. And I've discovered that there's a peace that's available through what he's won for us on the cross. So it's having that readiness and that willingness to share with others. But also, what I think it is it's being willing to live this peace out in our actions and in our everyday decisions. And so Paul says in Romans chapter 12, verse 18, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. And in a sense, we know this, that we receive the gospel, and then of course the impetus is that we are to live out the gospel with everything that we do. And when it comes to specifically tying this down to the situation we find ourselves in right now in lockdown, the willingness to make peace is going to be really important for us. If you haven't already found that, I know I have. And probably the things that are the big danger for us are the little niggles, things that people are doing that irritate us and that rub us up the wrong way. Maybe they're not a huge kind of massive statement, a huge rejection or betrayal. Maybe you've had one of those, but it's this accumulation of small little irritations that start to get under our skin that can really cause us trouble as we seek to run the race. So one person once said, "It isn't the mountains ahead to climb that wear you out. It's the pebble in your shoe." I love that, because it's getting at this idea that, we've got a long way to go with the lockdown, but if we're all accumulating pebbles in our shoes, and by that I mean we're picking up slights and offences and insults, and we're hanging on to these little grudges, what we'll find is those become very heavy things to carry along the way. Also, what we'll find is that we won't be very good at communicating that there's a God who forgives you if we're not willing to forgive them. We're not going to be very good at saying there's an unlimited supply of grace, there's a fountain that never comes to an end, if we can't produce a very small amount of grace in our own hearts. And I'm preaching to myself more than anybody else when I say that. And so one thought, just to finish with, when it comes to sharing God's peace with our decisions and our lives, be the person who initiates peace. If there's someone who's upset you, if there's someone who has annoyed you, whether it's a big thing or a little thing, what I want to do in that situation is I want to say, well, it's their fault. They hurt me. They need to come to me and say sorry, and then maybe I'll forgive them after I've punished them for a little bit. Maybe then I'll forgive them. And actually what I've been discovering from just reading the scriptures again and again has been that God actually expects us to be the initiator, even if they hurt us. So Jesus says in Matthew chapter 5, verse 9, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God." He doesn't say blessed are those people who like peace, or blessed are those people who avoid conflict, but blessed are those people who make peace. And peacemakers, what they do is they make the first move. And then he goes on to say, I don't know if you notice, but they will be called children of God. Why? Because that's what makes us like our Father. Our Father is the ultimate peacemaker. He comes to us, God becomes a person in Jesus Christ to make peace with us. And we become like him when we're willing to make peace with other people. If there is someone you know you need to make peace with today, can I encourage you, as I encourage myself, to be the person that kindly, humbly, gently initiates that conversation? It doesn't mean pretending that we haven't been hurt. It doesn't mean ignoring the issues, but it means raising it with a heart posture that says, I want to resolve this, that we might have peace. If we live with a readiness to initiate peace and to share the good news of peace with others, what we'll find as we walk with Jesus is that we walk light and we walk sustained, because we're sustained by his good news. And as we share his good news, it's like we hear it all over again with more depth and with more joy. Be ready to share and to be a peacemaker today.